You ever hit that point where everything just feels like too much? Not in a dramatic way, just that quiet moment where your system goes and then you're done. You're silent, you withdraw, you stop replying. You're probably telling yourself that I'm fine, but inside you've just completely left the room. It's like your body just hits the brakes without asking you. One minute you're trying to keep up with work, relationships, pressure, life, and then the next you're numb. And the worst part is you start thinking that something's wrong with you. You think you're weak, or you think that you can't handle stress like everyone else seems to. But the truth is you don't shut down because you're weak. You shut down because your system is protecting you. You're overwhelmed. You've been running on alert for just too long. And that freeze response, that emotional numbness, that's your body saying, I can't take anymore. Not because you're broken or you're fucked up, but because you're wired for survival. And most men don't even realize it. We've been told to man up or keep going or don't feel. So when our body finally hits its limit, we think that it's failure. But really, it's wisdom. If this is already hitting something in you, check the link in the description below. This is where we go deeper into this kind of work. You know that feeling when everything starts closing in, your head's full, your chest is tight, and even the smallest thing feels like too much. So you do what most men do. You pull away. You get quiet. You bury yourself in work or training or scrolling or anything that lets you not feel. You tell yourself you just need space or time or to clear your head. But what's actually happening is your nervous system is waving a white flag. You've gone past the fight or flight and you've just dropped into freeze. That's the body saying, I can't outrun this anymore, so I'll shut down instead. You might feel foggy or detached, like you're watching life happen from a distance. Your partner might say, you're not here. And she's right, because you're not. You're stuck in survival mode, and then guilt kicks in. You think, why can't I just deal with this like everyone else? You start labeling yourself as lazy or unmotivated, cold or disconnected. But you're none of those things. You're just overloaded. You've been holding so much for so long. And your body just finally hit the off switch. You can't logic your way out of that. You can't outthink your biology. See, the more you fight it, the more deeper it pulls you under. So before you start judging yourself for shutting down, understand what's actually happening here. Your body isn't betraying you, it's protecting you. You weren't born shutting down, you just learned it. Somewhere along the way, you picked up the message that it wasn't safe to feel. Maybe it was subtle. Maybe every time you cried as a kid, someone told you to toughen up. Maybe you were punished for speaking up or ignored when you needed comfort or laughed at for showing emotion. So you just stopped. You built a wall. And behind that wall, you built your whole idea of manhood. You learned that being strong meant holding it all in. You learned that being the man meant never needing help. And you learned that love and approval and respect only came when you kept it all together, no matter how much it hurt. And that's where shutdown begins. Not in adulthood, not in your relationships. It started the first time you felt something deeply and no one met you there. You didn't get taught how to process emotions. You just got taught how to bury them. And now when life hits hard, that same system kicks in. You don't talk, you don't cry, you don't reach out, you just disappear. But here's what most men miss. Your shutdown isn't a flaw. It's evidence of adaptation. You found a way to survive in an environment that punished emotion, and that same pattern is now running your adult life. So when your partner says you're distant or you're cold, you're not being an asshole. You're just reliving an old program. You're not choosing distance. You're being pulled by the version of you that once had to shut down to stay safe. But that's where the work begins. Not in judging that part, but in learning how to understand it. Because once you see it for what it really is, a defense and not a defect, you can start to unlearn it. You can build a new kind of strength. One that doesn't rely on shutting down, but on staying present. See, that's the shift. It's from a boy who had to protect himself to the man who can hold himself. And that's what we do inside the Brotherhood. We teach men how to feel again without falling apart, how to stand in the storm and not go numb, how to lead from calm, not control. Because the truth is, your emotional shutdown isn't a weakness. It's just unintegrated pain. And once you learn to face that, once you stop running from it, everything starts to change for you. But here's the part that most men don't want to look at. What actually costs you to live disconnected, because it's not about going quiet for a few hours when things get tough. It's what that silence slowly kills over time. You think you're keeping the peace by not speaking, right? You think you're avoiding conflict and protecting others from your chaos, but really you're just starving the people around you of connection. You stop sharing, you stop laughing the same, you stop reaching for her hand. You're in the room, but you're not in it. She can feel that, your kids can feel that, your mates can feel that. Everyone around you just starts walking on eggshells, wondering where the fuck you went. You think you're holding it all together, but all they feel is your absence. I've seen men lose everything to that pattern, not because they didn't care, but because they didn't know how to stay open when it mattered the most. And I know it also because I've lived it. There was a time when I couldn't speak about what I was feeling, not to anyone. I'd go silent for days. Not angry, not explosive, I was just fucking gone. And I thought that was strength. See, that's how I was raised. Don't make a problem, just handle it alone. But what I didn't realize is that silence is violence in slow motion, because it erodes trust. It makes people that you love feel unseen and unsafe. It disconnects you from your own aliveness. You start losing the spark in your work, your relationships, your purpose. And you stop feeling joy, and you stop feeling pride, and you stop feeling anything. And that's the scariest part, because it's not the anger or the stress that ruins men. It's the numbness. Because when you go numb for long enough, you forget what feeling alive really feels like. And you start just existing instead of living, drifting instead of leading. And look, the reality is that's not strength, that's just survival. And survival isn't the point of life. You're meant to feel deeply, to love fully, and to lead powerfully, not to live like a ghost in your own story. So if any of this hits, if you've been noticing that distance, that numbness, that disconnection creeping in, don't ignore it. That's your body calling you back home. That's your heart saying that it's fucking time. And that's what I help men do. Come back to life. Rebuild that connection, that presence and leadership from the inside out. You'll find that all inside the Brotherhood and the links below. Now, here's the truth. You can't outthink your way out of shutdown. You can't outsmart it, because the part of you that shuts down, it's not in your mind, it's in your body. So if you want to change it, you have to learn how to meet it differently. See, most men, when they feel that collapse coming in, they fight it, they try to just push through, or they drown in work, in training, or sex, porn, or alcohol, whatever just gives them that quick hit of control. But the only way to break that loop is to feel what you've spent your whole life running from. So here's how to start, and it's super simple, but it's not easy. So first is pause. When you feel yourself shutting down, don't rush to fix it. Don't try to force yourself to man up. Just fucking stop. Notice what's happening. That's awareness. And awareness is the first crack in the armor. It's like finally turning and facing the thing that you've been avoiding. And that moment alone, that changes everything. Second is name it. Say it, even if it's just to yourself. I'm overwhelmed. I'm shutting down. I don't know what I'm feeling right now. You don't need the perfect words. You just need honesty. Because the moment that you name it, you take it out of the dark and you bring it into your awareness. And that's leadership, owning your own state instead of being ruled by it. Third, breathe. Slow, deep, into the belly. Not the kind of breath that tries to calm you down, but the kind that reconnects you to yourself. Put your hand on your chest or your stomach and just feel your body. You've been living from the neck up for too long, and this is how you get back into your body. And the fourth thing to do is connect. So reach out, text a brother, speak to your partner, write it down, just do something that breaks the silence. Because the longer that you sit in isolation, the louder the old programming gets. And the old programming only knows one thing: fucking hide it. But connection is how you rewire that story. This is why I talk so much about brotherhood, because it's the antidote to isolation. You can't heal alone in the same environment that taught you to disconnect. You need mirrors. Men who remind you that your emotions aren't weakness. They're data, they're direction. And when you learn to meet overwhelm instead of run from it, you stop being at war with yourself. You stop fearing your emotions, and suddenly what used to drown you becomes the very thing that grounds you. That's what real strength looks like. Not the man who never breaks, but the man who knows how to rebuild himself again and again. So next time you start to feel yourself shutting down, don't run from it. Don't reach for another distraction. Don't bury it under "I'm fine." Just stop. Notice it. Breathe. Feel your feet on the ground. And that moment, right there, is your doorway back to power. Because every time that you choose to stay present when it would be easier to disappear, you reclaim a piece of yourself. You become a man who can hold his own storm and still lead through it. And that's the work. Not pretending like you've got it all together, not being bulletproof, but learning to stand open when everything in front of you wants you to shut you down. So if this landed, if you feel like you're done carrying it alone, the link's below. That's where men like us go deeper. We don't just talk about growth, but we live it. We hold each other accountable to becoming the kind of men who no longer run from their truth. So before you scroll away, just take a breath. Ask yourself, what would change if I stopped running? Because that's where it all begins. I'll see you inside.